I am 67 years old and I am sitting at a kitchen table with a stack of credit cards fanned out in front of me like a losing hand of poker. 11 of them. 11 little rectangles of plastic, each one a different color, each one maxed out, each one carrying an interest rate that would make a loan shark blush. Some of them are scratched so deep the numbers are barely readable. One of them is held together with tape because it cracked in half the day. I tried to use it at a grocery store, and the machine spat it back at me like even the technology was disgusted. I used to carry these in a leather wallet so fat it barely fit in my back pocket, and I walked with a lean because of it. And I told myself that lean meant I was a man of substance, a man with options, a man who could say yes to anything. I was 60 years old when I lost everything, not in a fire, not in a flood, not in some dramatic catastrophe that would make a good movie. I lost it slowly, quietly, one swipe at a time, until the day I woke up and realized I didn't own a single thing in my life. Everything owned me. So if you're watching this, if you've got a wallet full of plastic courage and a minimum payment lifestyle and a voice in your head telling you it's fine, you can handle it, you'll pay it off next month, I need you to listen to an old man who learned the truth the most expensive way possible. Your credit card is not a tool, it's a leash, and the longer it gets, the less you notice it's around your neck until the day it yanks you to the ground and you can't get back up. Let me tell you how I got here. When I was 35, I discovered something dangerous. I discovered that the world will treat you like a king if you look like one. And looking like a king costs money. And money you don't have comes in a little envelope with a 14.9% APR and a congratulations letter that feels like a hug from the universe. My first credit card had a 3,000 rupee limit. I remember holding it like it was a golden ticket. My hands smelled like the plastic packaging it came in, that chemical factory fresh smell that somehow felt like freedom. I bought dinner that night at a restaurant I had no business being in, cloth napkins. A waiter who called me sir. The bill was 1,800 rupees, and I put it on the card without blinking, and when I signed the receipt, I felt something click inside my chest. Not guilt, power. That was the lie, that click, that tiny chemical rush that comes from spending money you don't have on things you don't need to impress people who don't care. I became addicted to that click the way some men become addicted to whiskey. One sip is never enough. One card is never enough. By 40, I had 4 cards. By 45, 7. By 50, I had stopped counting. I bought a car I couldn't afford, not because I needed a new car. My old one ran perfectly fine, but my neighbor bought a new one, and it sat in his driveway shining like an accusation, and I couldn't sleep until I had one that was shinier. So I swiped. I bought furniture for a house that was already furnished because my wife's cousin visited and her house had Italian marble countertops and suddenly our granite looked like gravel. So I swiped. I threw a wedding anniversary party at a farmhouse with fairy lights and a catered menu and 70 guests who ate my food, drank my liquor, posted photographs on social media, and went home without knowing that the entire evening was financed by a piece of plastic with a 22% interest rate. I was buying applause. That's what I understand now. Every swipe was a standing ovation from strangers. My wife would ask me, her voice careful, almost afraid, "How are we paying for this?" And I would wave my hand like a magician performing his favorite trick and say, "Don't worry about it. I've got it handled." Those 5 words. I've got it handled. I said them so many times they lost all meaning. They became a spell I cast to make reality disappear. And for 20 years the spell worked, until it didn't. The day it broke, the day the spell shattered into pieces I'm still stepping on with bare feet, was a Tuesday. I remember it was a Tuesday because my wife always made rajma chawal on Tuesdays, and the apartment smelled like cumin and boiled dal and home. It smelled like every good thing I was about to lose. I was sitting in the same chair I'm sitting in now. The mail had come. I usually ignored the mail because by then the mail had become a thing I feared the way a child fears the dark. White envelopes with red printing, legal notices, payment reminders, final warnings printed in bold letters designed to make your hands shake, and they did, and I hid them in a drawer in my desk and pretended they were not real. But that Tuesday, my wife found them. I was in the kitchen when I heard the drawer open. The sound of that drawer sliding on its wooden rails is burned into my memory the way a scar is burned into skin. It was a small sound, a domestic sound, the kind of sound that happens 100 times a day in a normal household and means nothing, but I knew. The moment I heard it, my whole body went cold. Cold in a way that has nothing to do with temperature. Cold from the inside. Cold like your blood has been replaced with something that doesn't move. She didn't scream. That's what people don't understand. The worst moments of your life are quiet. She walked into the kitchen holding a stack of envelopes in both hands, maybe 40 of them, and she set them on the table between us, right next to the pot of rajma, and she looked at me. She didn't say, "How could you?" She didn't say, "What have you done?" She said one word, and that one word contained 32 years of marriage, 3 children, a lifetime of trust handed to a man who took it and swiped it through a card reader like it was nothing. She said, "How much?" And I couldn't answer her, not because I didn't know, because I did know. I knew exactly how much. I had calculated it the night before in the bathroom at 2 a.m. with the door locked and the light off, sitting on the tile floor with a calculator in one hand and my phone in the other, adding up statements, adding up interest, adding up the total cost of 20 years of pretending. 47 lakh rupees. I was 47 lakh rupees in debt, and I had a government salary that brought home 62,000 a month, and a wife who thought we were comfortable, and 3 children who thought their father was a provider and not a fraud. The silence after I said that number lasted an eternity. I could hear the rajma bubbling on the stove. I could hear the clock on the wall, the one she bought at a craft fair on our 10th anniversary, ticking with a patience that felt like mockery. I could hear a neighbor's television through the wall, some game show with applause and cheering, and the contrast between that sound and the silence in my kitchen was so violent I thought I might vomit. She sat down, slowly, like her legs had decided independently that they no longer wanted to support the weight of this marriage. She put her hands flat on the table, palms down, fingers spread, and she stared at the envelopes and she breathed. Then she said, "I want to go to my sister's house. Not, I'm leaving you. Not, we're done. I want to go to my sister's house." As if she was asking permission, as if after 32 years of being lied to, she still had the grace to frame her devastation as a polite request. I nodded. What else could I do? I nodded, and I watched her stand up and walk to our bedroom, and I heard the zipper of a suitcase, a sound that is quieter than a whisper and louder than a bomb. She left that evening. She took one suitcase and her reading glasses and a photograph of our children from the shelf in the hallway. She didn't take the wedding album. She didn't take the jewelry I'd bought her over the years, the necklaces and bangles and earrings, all bought on credit, all paid for with imaginary money. She left them on the dresser like evidence at a crime scene. My oldest daughter called me the next day. She didn't call me Papa. She called me by my first name. Do you understand what that feels like when your own child removes your title? When the word Papa gets replaced by a first name and you realize that a name is just a sound, but Papa was a promise and you broke it. She asked me one question, was any of it real? I didn't know how to answer that either. That was 7 years ago. I'm 67 now. I live alone in the same apartment because I cannot afford to move and I cannot afford to stay. And so I exist in this space the way a ghost exists in a house it died in. The furniture is the same. The kitchen table is the same. The chair is the same, but everything feels like a museum exhibit of a life that used to belong to someone else. The 11 credit cards sit in a drawer. Not the secret drawer. That one is empty now, permanently open, because I removed the front panel so I would never be tempted to hide anything in it again. The cards sit in the top drawer of the kitchen counter, fanned out, face up, where I can see them every morning when I reach for a spoon to stir my tea. 1 cup, 1 spoon, 1 plate for dinner, 1 towel on the bathroom rack. Everything in this apartment is singular now, and the loneliness of singular things is something they should teach in schools so that young men understand the cost before they pay it. My wife lives with her sister. We are not divorced. We are not together. We exist in a gray space that has no name, a limbo built entirely from debt statements and broken trust. She calls on Sundays sometimes, short calls, 5 minutes. How is your health? Are you eating? Okay. Goodbye. No warmth, no anger, just the flat, exhausted politeness of a woman who gave everything to a man who spent it. My children contribute to paying off the debt. That sentence should make you sick. Read it again. My children contribute to paying off the debt. The people I was supposed to provide for are providing for the mess I made. My son sends $12,000 a month. My daughter sends $8,000. They don't complain. They don't lecture. And that silence is worse than any punishment because I know what it means. It means they've accepted that their father is a burden. They've budgeted for my failure the way you budget for electricity or water, a fixed monthly cost, Papa's debt, line item, non-negotiable. The cracked card on top of the stack, the one held together with tape, that's the one I use the most. That's the one that bought the car and the furniture and the anniversary party. Its credit limit was 2 lakh rupees, and I treated it like an infinite resource, like a river that would never run dry. And I kept drinking and drinking until one day I looked down, and there was nothing but mud and stones and the reflection of a fool staring back at me. I pick it up sometimes. I hold it the way I held it that first night at the restaurant when I was 35, and the waiter called me sir, and I felt like a king. It weighs nothing. It weighs absolutely nothing. And that's the cruelest part. The thing that destroyed my family, my dignity, my children's savings, my wife's trust. It weighs less than a chapati. You could blow it off a table. You could snap it with 2 fingers. And yet it was heavier than anything I have ever carried. Now I'm talking to you. You, the one with the new card. The one who just got approved for a limit increase. The one who read that approval message and felt that little click in your chest, that little hum of power, that little voice saying, you deserve this. You don't deserve debt. Nobody deserves debt. What you deserve is the truth, and here it is, free of charge, no interest, no minimum payment, no hidden fees. Every swipe is a signature on a contract with your future self, and your future self doesn't have a say in it. You're borrowing from a person who doesn't exist yet and forcing them to pay for your ego today. And that future version of you will sit in a chair just like this one, in a quiet apartment just like this one, stirring tea with a single spoon, wondering where everyone went. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking it's different for you. You've got it handled. You'll pay it off next month. Those are my words. Those are the exact words I used for 20 years, and they are the most expensive words I have ever spoken. They cost me my wife. They cost me my daughter's respect. They cost me my son's savings. They cost me the right to be called Papa. Cut the card tonight. Don't put it in a drawer. Don't freeze it in a block of ice like some clever trick you saw on the internet. Cut it. Take scissors and cut it in half and feel the plastic split and listen to the sound it makes. It won't be loud. It won't be dramatic. It will be a small, quiet snap, and in that snap is your freedom. I know because I finally cut mine. 2 weeks ago, I took scissors from the kitchen drawer, the same scissors my wife used to cut wrapping paper for our children's birthday gifts when they were small, and I cut that taped-up card in half. It didn't feel like victory. It felt like a funeral, a small, necessary funeral for a version of myself who needed to die so that whatever is left of me can sit here and say these words to you without choking on my own hypocrisy. Your credit card is not your friend. It is not freedom. It is not a safety net. It is a leash made of plastic and interest rates and shame, and it will pull you so slowly you won't feel it until you're on your knees in a kitchen that smells like cumin and regret, watching your wife pack a single suitcase with hands that are steady because she's been preparing for this moment longer than you know. Go home tonight and tell the truth, whatever it is, however much it is. Say the number out loud. Let it hit the air. Let it exist outside your chest where it's been rotting for months or years. The number will be ugly. The silence afterward will be worse. But it will be the first honest thing you've done in longer than you can remember. And honesty, even late, even painful, even ugly, is the only currency that doesn't charge interest. I am 67 years old. I have 11 cards in a drawer and a wife at her sister's house and children who budget for my shame. Don't be me. The minimum payment is always more than you think, and I'm not talking about money.